Mercedes again, still doing whatever it is that I'm doing. I just kind of wanted to talk about like how my life has changed since I became heavily tattooed. And I understand I make a lot of videos about this stuff, but I really just want people to take into consideration the choices they're making before they make them. Definitely think them through a little bit more than I did. So I did a video on if I regret my tattoos, and I don't. I definitely just regret not mentally preparing myself for the amount of attention that they do bring. And that was like, I didn't really know anybody that was heavily tattooed, so that was never something like that I had any education on. It was never anything that like I really, like I said, thought about. Um, so yeah. So no, I don't. I do not regret my tattoos at all. Not even a little bit. However, it's just kind of difficult, you know, on some days when you want to be left alone and people just want to talk to you about them. People just want to ask you questions about them. You know, things like that. Um, so no, the ways my life has changed. You know, it's changed for like the better, and it's also like had some negative, you know, aspects to it. Um, you know, you have those people that hate on you for absolutely no reason. And I get, like, you know, it's not for everybody, but you don't always have to voice that to them. If you don't like it, you don't have to say anything. Kind of like that age old thing that, you know, your parents, your grandparents, and everybody say, if you don't have anything nice, don't say it at all. We've kind of gone past that at this point. People are like, if I don't have anything nice to say, I'm going to say it regardless. But they don't ever give it as, like, constructive criticism. It's usually as, like, oh, I hate everything about you, so I'm just gonna tell you, and you just kind of have to roll with it, roll with the punches, whatever. And my thing is I work in the public. I'm a bartender. I work in the public. I work usually five to 6 days a week, around that. And I don't want to say it's ruined me for people, but it's definitely shown me people's true colors, 100%. Um, Especially when it comes to, like, you know, the negative parts of it. Now let's start with the negative parts. You know, you do have those people that, I'm not saying they have to bite their tongue, but you have those people that they don't always word their questions the best, and their tone of voice when they say things is just kind of like, oh, like, why do you look that way? Why do you do that? Why did you do that to yourself? What do your parents think of it? First off, my parents have no issue with it. And I feel like my camera is like moving, and I don't know why. Maybe I'm on crack, I have no idea. But no, you know, I have a lot of people that ask me like what my parents and my grandparents think of it. Um, a lot of my family don't have an issue with it. I'm the only heavily tattooed person on, you know, both sides of my family. My one grandmother actually goes with me to some of my tattoo appointments. She's 73 years old, and she ended up actually getting a tattoo at one point when my aunt passed away. Um, my mother wasn't a fan of it at first, um, but now she just kind of either looks past it or just doesn't notice it, whatever. When I started, I guess, becoming more myself was the last day of my junior year of high school is when I got my septum pierced, and then ever since then, everything changed. So it didn't even actually start with a tattoo, it started with a piercing. Now I have 6 septum rings, like, in my nose. I have, you know, 2 on the side of my nose, and whatever. I got my first tattoo at 19. But yeah, you know, my dad never cared about any of it. My mom was, like I said, never really a fan until, like, the past few years. Once I started to get a lot more of the public pushback is when my mom started seeing, like, hey, you know, maybe I should definitely take into consideration, you know, what my daughter wants, you know, her thoughts on the entire thing before I'm 100% like, ew, no, I don't like that. You know, my mom, she doesn't appreciate all of my tattoos, mostly my face tattoos. She really just doesn't want me to move into, like, this area of my face tattoos, which she knows I have my eyelids done, obviously. I see my parents almost every single day, and I talk to them every single day. Because I'm a big baby. So, her biggest thing is, like, she just doesn't want me to cover, like, the middle part of my face, which I have a tattoo on my forehead that's in white, so that's not even that noticeable. And then, you know, I have the ones on my eyelids, which, whatever. I got those so that, like, the position of them is when I open my eyes, you can't really see them. But yeah, as for, like, my parents' thoughts on it, they don't really mind anymore. They actually 100% support me on, like, my journey. Now, the positives, I would definitely say, like, in the tattoo world, I've definitely moved more into it. I've met a lot of wonderful people. You know, I've done some cool interviews with people. I did, like, a small, short interview with Inked Magazine at a tattoo convention, like, 2 years ago, and that's forever been, like, a thing I can cross off my bucket list because I thought it was so cool. Yeah, so, I mean, that was always something I really wanted, was to get noticed by them somehow. And I was at a convention, and I was dating a guy at the time, and we ended up doing, like, a small interview with them. And yeah, so, like, that was pretty dope. The more positives of it have definitely been, like, you know, I've been published in a couple of magazines, which has been super cool. I've met, like I said, a lot of people in the tattoo community from it that, you know, have become basically lifelong friends at this point, like, super nice people. So I would definitely say more positive than negative has come out of it. Most of the negative aspects of it are more mentally for me than really anything else. Like, nothing having to do with a job or anything like that. It's really just, like, the mental aspects of it. Like I said, on days where I really just don't want to talk to people, they still want to talk about it. When I'm at work and I'm busy, people want to talk about it. And I basically just tell them, if you want to talk to me about it, you're either going to have to wait till I'm not busy or come in at, like, a dead time during the day. Because I just don't have time. I really don't. If I'm running around a 40-seat bar and we're absolutely slammed on a Friday night, I don't have time to answer, you know, tattoo questions. But no, I don't really get a lot of, like, negative pushback, like, in person. I get a lot of it online. Especially, like, on TikTok and stuff over the years, I've gotten a lot of that. On some of my videos, I've gotten, like, some negative comments. I deleted a couple just because I don't really want people that have questions about, you know, their future in the tattoo community. I don't want them to see that and be like, oh, I'm gonna get these negative comments from people, and I don't want them to have that on their mind. I don't want people to have that in their mind when they go to make a decision that they want for themselves. They should obviously already know that, yes, you're gonna get negativity from somewhere. You're always gonna get it no matter what. But here's what I always thought about, is I got so much more negative attention before I looked like this. However, I was severely, heavily bullied my entire life. So I guess now it's very, like, moderate compared to, like, what it was. I guess now I'm just so immune to like, the negative words that people say. Like, I was at work once and a guy flat out sat there and was calling me a freak and couldn't believe I would do that to myself, and it started talking about, like, my ears. That's what started the entire conversation. So yeah, definitely, like, again, some more of the negatives is how expensive tattoos are. Now, I understand, like, you definitely want to, you know, do your research on things, and the price points are different everywhere you go with whoever you go with. Some shops, you know, price things by, like, piece. Some shops price things by hour. It just depends. But I have, like, a lot of portraits and stuff, and those aren't cheap. Luckily, the guy I go to really enjoys doing them, and he's been tattooing over 30 years, so portraits, he's like, fuck yeah, give me all of them. I love them. It's also the same guy that tattooed my butthole, though, so that wasn't a portrait, but it was also, like, a tattoo that he's only ever done once, and it was mine. And then he told me not to tell anybody because he didn't want people coming off the streets with dirty buttholes and asking to get them tattooed, because he would just, I mean, he could just tell them no, but yeah, so, I mean, stuff like that also is, like, kind of difficult. Some people really just don't want to tattoo those parts of the body, and that's completely understandable because they're very intimate parts of the body. It's very weird. Yeah, and if you're, like, an awkward person, maybe just don't get that tattooed. Just don't. But I mean, that was never like a negative aspect of it. I was actually at a tattoo convention once, and it was late at night, and we decided that it was just going to be okay for me to show my asshole on stage. So I did. I pulled my pants down and showed my butthole on stage at a local convention, which was actually really funny. Like, it doesn't sound funny when I tell it, but it was really funny at the time when I did it. Because, like, it wasn't a joke. I mean, what do you expect to see at a tattoo convention? You're going to see some sort of nudity. Come on now, people. But no, definitely, you know, I know I ramble on a lot, and I'm so sorry. I just don't have a one-track mind, and that is just not how my life goes. But yeah, definitely a very expensive hobby. I'm gonna be pretty transparent about like the pricing of some things. So like my blackout sessions are $1,200 a session, flat out $1,200 a session, and yeah. But then, you know, I've had other ones that I've done shop minimum. I've had some I hadn't paid for. I mean, I've had some that have gotten discounted because it's something they really wanted to do. You know, stuff like that, which is very nice, and I of course appreciate it. I don't know, you get a lot of stares when you go out though. If you want to, that's a lot of reason why I started using my debit card at the gas pump. Because people stare a lot. I mean, I can't read minds. I don't know what goes through their mind. But people stare constantly. They might think that you look like a freak of nature. They might think that it's beautiful. I don't have as many older people stare as people would think, though. That the older generation thing really isn't like the problem when it comes to it. A lot of it is like the middle-aged generation that's very judgmental toward it. People that are middle-aged and people that are probably around my age are the most judgmental toward that stuff. There's also this like what's it called? When you judge people, what is it? I'm sorry, I'm not very good with words right now. I make a lot of these videos at night, at the end of the day, when I have already mentally exhausted myself. But like when people judge you based off of like how you look, there's like this like preconceived way that like, you know, heavily tattooed women are very promiscuous. It's definitely like a fetishized thing for sure. Which is weird. But yeah, it's definitely like a heavily like, you'd be amazed at how many like white collar men are into heavily tattooed women. My ex-boyfriend being one of them. He's a financial advisor, and he had never been with a heavily tattooed woman, and he actually told me that he has never been more attracted to a woman in his life than me. Which, I mean, that's cool, and I love that. That's awesome. But it introduced him to like this whole new world of like people and things that he had never really cared about. He didn't fetishize it, but like there's a lot of people that do. And man, some of the comments they make, especially in public, oh my god, I just cannot. The things that come out of these men's mouths when they're just sitting at a bar. Like, I'm getting paid to serve you. I ain't getting paid to whatever you think is gonna come out of these ignorant comments that come out of your face. But some of it's funny. Yeah. So like, if you're out and you want to hit on me, be a woman. I love when women hit on me. It's great. But yeah, I never understood how these men can just go out and be so comfortable with some of the things that they say. So it puts you in really awkward situations, especially because you can't just like always stop what you're doing and just like run away. I was actually at KFC once and I was getting my food, and this guy had started making comments at the window, and he refused to give me my food until his coworker would come over and like check me out, I guess. Now, I'm going to be honest right now. I don't find myself anything special. I don't think I am that attractive. I don't think that I'm like amazing to look at. Now, I have days where I'm like, fuck yeah, like I'd fuck me. But I mean, I don't feel like that every single day. But like, so it's very weird for me when I'm put in situations like that. Um, and there's also this like thought where people are like, oh, well, you look like that, so you obviously want the attention. I look like this because I like to look like this. Now, sometimes attention is great, especially when you're having a bad day and you feel down about yourself, and then you have people compliment you, especially on your tattoos. Awesome. It's really cool. I really don't know how I got off on this tangent, and I'm so sorry. But yeah, so I mean, I guess there's negatives and positives, and like the whole like attention aspect of it as well. Um, but definitely I've had more positives than negatives. I actually had somebody the other day ask me if they think it's hindered like my dating, and I don't think it's hindered it at all. Well, like I said, it's fetishized, so like that's kind of made me like, I don't know, more weary, I guess, of like some of the men that'll like talk to me, hit on me, ask me out, and honestly 9 times out of 10 I say no, just because I don't trust people, and I just don't like to be put in awkward situations. So I'm honestly, I think I'm just gonna like die alone, because like I don't like being asked out in person, and I don't like being approached online. So like I've just come to terms with the fact that I'm just gonna die with my dog. But I mean, yeah, definitely it can take a negative toll on you some days, for sure. Um, Especially because some people think it looks trashy. Oh, promiscuous. That's what I was thinking earlier, where people have this like preconceived like thought that heavily tattooed women are just more promiscuous and more like sexual with the way that they present themselves. And I mean, I guess you could think that, but I had someone say something once. There was one year on Halloween, I was a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader and I worked to work just because my job doesn't mind it. And the girl I was working with was like, it wouldn't be so, because the shorts were very, very short. But she was like, it wouldn't be so risque if you didn't have the tattoos on your body you have, because they're white shorts and I have dark black tattoos on both of my butt cheeks and you can see them through the shorts, which I also had tights on and you can still see them through. But she was like, it wouldn't be as, risque if you didn't have, the amount of tattoos you have in the places that you have them. She was like, if someone normal came in here and just wore that, it wouldn't be a big deal. She was like, but where you have these things is what like makes people think these thoughts. And I completely get it, and she wasn't wrong. But yeah. This wasn't really a meaningless video. Sorry, I have like a friction like mark on my collarbone and it's irritating. I don't know. I really wish I was like better at like talking about this stuff, but I'm really just not. And I like locked myself in my house, so I have nobody to talk to. So yeah. Like I said, definitely more pros than cons, I guess, to how my life has changed being heavily tattooed. My goal is to definitely try to do more with Inked Magazine in the future. Because I'm not a tattooer, I'm just a tattoo collector, so like, I don't know, and I'm not really like a big model, I just model as like a hobby, so yeah, I guess just like count my blessings and hope for the best in this year. But I mean, thanks for listening. Again, if you have any questions, just leave them down in the comments. Honestly, any comments, negative or positive, I'd like to hear them. But I mean, if they're negative, be gentle or don't. I don't really care. I have my dog to cry to if you're mean. So have a good night.